So welcome to Alevo. Welcome all other members and listeners. We've got a few here. We might give it a couple of minutes just to make sure everyone that is going to come to listen live can get here. But yeah, I think Kev already said, Alevo, thank you very much for coming, and yeah, hopefully we can have a really good time here.
Thank you for the invitation. I think it is a really cool opportunity to talk more about the project and solving some questions that people may have.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely, mate. We've found the AMA to be a really good way of sort of reaching out and connecting with not only other projects but also communities. It's quite good. So yeah, and we're quite interested to hear what you guys have got to say, because you guys are doing some really exciting stuff over there. All right, Kev, did you have any sort of housekeeping that you wanted to do before we got started? I think we're going to give away 2 OG badges tonight for any good questions. So if anyone does have any good questions, we'll do 2 to the best 2 questions. So anything else you wanted to add, Kev?
No, that's it. We're just may as well get on with the discussion.
Cool. So anyone that doesn't know, Alevo is developing a game named Evo Verse. I'm sure you've picked that up on your way into the AMA, but for anyone in the future that's listening, Alevo, did you want to maybe tell us a little bit about your team and about your inspiration and background developing the project, and what gave you the idea?
Well, Evo Verses is presented like a Pokemon-like game with a PvP mode and an history mode, and it will be available in desktop and mobile. Well, at least the PvP. The story mode will be only on desktop because you need lots of assets and resources to run the history mode, so it wouldn't be possible on mobile. And lots of people usually ask us if the game will be Pokemon like the new Pokemon games, like Pokemon Go, or like what? And to answer them, it's more like the classic Pokemon, like Emerald or those old ones, but with cool graphics. Well, I like pixel art, but with 3D graphics. And another question that I usually have about Evo Verses is if all the content is original or if we are using some Pokemons from Nintendo, or how is it done. So yeah, every Evo is completely original. In fact, I have to reject several of them just because they were similar in design to some Pokemon, and that's easy because there are too many Pokemon. So
I see you've got 12 different element classes of Evos. Alevo is how many Evos are you sort of aiming at ending up with? How many different types, or at least at launch?
We will have 2 different launches. We will have the PvP mode and the history mode launches. In the history, you will discover, because the history of the first season of Evo Verses start when Evos are there, but not like for a long time in this world. Okay, so people don't know how to do lots of things with the Evos, and you don't know how to evolve them, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So along the history, you will learn how to evolve your Evos. So in the first launch, in the PvP launch, you won't be able to play with evolved Evos because you haven't played the history yet. In the next season of PvP, you will be able to evolve your Evos and play with better ones. But
So the story mode is going to be rather important to the evolution and improving the Evos as you go along, Alevo. You'll have to complete the story modes to be able to learn how to evolve and to continue to improve.
It is highly recommended because
that's cool.
To evolve your creatures, you need to spend some looms, that is the in-game token, but you also need to spend some genetic material. And to get that material, you can get it by playing PvP, but you will get way more by playing the history mode, because you will be able to fight versus white Evos. And white Evos give you way more genetic material.
So the story mode, are you expecting to be quite similar to Pokemon style, where that's a one-player story mode building sort of questing, and then PvP is where we'll see the online multiplayer aspect, or are you thinking there'll be some multiplayer aspects of the story mode?
That was something that we discussed a lot, because multiplayer is cool, but sometimes it can break the immersion of the player. Like if you are playing in a really epic moment of the player history, and then you see two friends running around and making crazy things, you lost the moment. You don't feel the same. So we are trying to improve that concept in some way, and it will be like you have the single player mode, the history mode where you play and you do your quest, and you have the social mode that is in a city. You will be able to connect and play with friends or with random people and do some social activities, like going to some buildings there to maybe trade with your Evos, or maybe visit their houses or something like that, but only in the city. Once you go out of the city, you return to the single player mode. And in the single player mode, there is one exception. That is like in Genshin Impact. You will be able to invite a few friends to play in the history mode, like a co-op mode. And you will be able to travel the world, maybe catching some wild Evos and doing that kind of things. But as in Genshin Impact happens, in some key quests, in some really important quests, you won't be able to play those quests with them to keep the immersion there, because if not, it could be really easy or it could be really broken. It's better like that.
I think that's actually a good idea, like you say, for immersion. And also sometimes with the story mode, it can be quite frustrating if you're waiting for other players to be able to sort of do something, or someone else's internet connection is slowing you down, or these sorts of things. So I think that's a pretty good idea to have those opportunities to do the story mode as a single player, not relying on others.
And if you like the tactical multiplayer events, there will be the raid events that I had in the white paper, and it's like a big, huge, epic Evo, wild Evo that is giving people issues in a region, and several players have to team to fight versus them. There you will be able to play some kind of multiplayer with random players and get really cool rewards if you win, because it will be complicated.
I like it. I like the idea. So while we're talking about Evos and PvP and boss battles, the mechanic of battling, how similar are we expecting it to be to that Pokemon sort of style battling? Are we likely to see sort of 3-on-3 battles or one at a time through teams? And are you expecting to have turn-based strategy or something a little different? I know turn-based strategy is kind of tricky to do on the blockchain. I was wondering, I did read in the white paper that you said it was going to be a little bit more complicated than Pokemon battles. So I was wondering how you might go about doing it.
Well, first of all, we have been thinking several ways to do the PvP in the past, and we decided to go the same way as Pokemon, turn-based, for several reasons. Like, we also thought about making it like Pokken or Tekken, the typical fight game, where you will be able to control your Evo and move and hit and attack. But it was gonna be really, really complicated for us. We are a small video game studio, so doing that kind of fight, it will be really hard. And we thought, well, maybe someday we will be able to implement that mode. Right now, let's stick with turn-based.
Excellent.
To answer the other questions, it will be the typical 3 versus 3, like in Pokemon. But we have plans to later on release some other modes, like 2 players versus 2 players and things like that.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent. And so you're expecting that that three Evos would face off at a time at this point. In Pokemon, quite often you can sort of have a deeper team than that and swap your monsters in and out, and sort of lots of my favorite monster taming game is Dragon Island Blue. I'm not sure if you ever played it, but I had a lot of fun with that, so I love these games. But they quite often have sort of the ability to swap monsters in and out of the team. Is that something that you're expecting to do? So people will need more than 3 of these Evos as we go on.
it's a possibility, but it's not like by default. You might be able to do that, but by using some special abilities some of your Evos could have.
Okay, cool. The other thing that I was going to ask is, are we likely to be breeding Evos, or are they mainly going to be caught in story mode or built with the genetic materials?
That's a really good question, because we thought about that a lot of time, because, well, in Pokemon you usually go in the wild and catch Pokemon. But the thing is, if you do something like that in a crypto game where people can trade with Pokemons, or Evos in this case, you would break the market, because you would have lots of players just playing in the wild, maybe even using bots to be all day and all night just catching wild Evos and pushing it to the market. So we tried to find a solution, because we wanted to keep something like seeing wild Evos in the wild and fighting versus them. So meanwhile, the only way to get Evos, or new Evos, because you can always get Evos in the market, the only way to get new Evos will be by breeding. To evolve them and to level up them, you will need genetic material. And the only way to get genetic material is by playing PvP or by catching wild Evos. And you will get way more genetic material by catching wild Evos.
Excellent. And so we're expecting Evos to have different specialties and different abilities. Will that come across in sort of some sort of a rarity system?
Yeah, well, that's done. That was the work of lots of months for our partner Eric, and basically every Evo can, well, we have a big question that it was about, will be every Evo different? Like some NFT projects where every NFT is different? And no, not always, because you can have let's say a Pikachu and your friend can also have one, but they will have different stats and genetic traits. Like they will have different attacks, they will have different stats like movement speed, like attack, defense, and they will have different, let's say, for example, size, weight, things like affect your stats. And also, as we have in Pokemon, you will have also shinies. So
Yeah, there's so much you can do with these NFTs in games like this, isn't there? Like, I just think that the monster trainer game genre is made for blockchain. It's just perfect for it.
And there is one thing that it's not in the white paper because I didn't want to leak, but I thought in a Discord message one night, so I think I can tell you, that is, usually you can change like size or weight or maybe some kind of stats or even if it's shiny or not, but there is something unique from in Evo Verses that is not in Pokemon, that you have a really small chance when you breed two Evos to have a 3 types Evo. Let's say you have an Evo with 2 types and you breed it, and you expect to get the same Evo with different stats, but you have a really small chance to get it with another type, with 3 types. And that allows you to have way more different attacks. So that's gonna be really awesome. If you play with that really well.
That's cool. So you're saying a normal standard Evo will have 2 basic element types, but you will have a chance at breeding a 3 type, which will have extra attack abilities and strengths.
They can have 1 or 2 types, yeah, but you have a really small chance to have 3 types.
Cool. So they're the ones. They're going to be the high demand. We're going to be chasing those ones.
And I remember one question you did like 7 minutes ago, and it was about how many Evos will be available at the beginning. And it will be phase 1, so not evolved. It will be around 80 or so, 80, 90 Evos. And in the first generation, counting evolved and so on, it will be around 120 or 114. We have to check it yet because we are still doing some new creatures, but let's see.
Oh, that's a good number.
We have right now on paper the stats of 200 creatures. So if we really wanted to push it, we would be able to launch more creatures. But we are also thinking about the next generation.
Yeah, it's good to have some up your sleeve, not spend them all on the first round.
And that's also a question sometimes I got. It is about if we will have more generation about our Evos, and yes, we will have. But the thing is, we know that players that will get the first Evos will be worried about if there is a new generation, if the Evos will lose the price. And no, they won't, because to get the second generation, you will need the first generation. Because in the history mode, you will earn some genetic material to mutate your breeds and get generation 2. So you need generation 1 to get 2.
Yeah, and those original heroes, those original Evos will obviously be a lot more experienced and further along their track in the story mode as far as those things go than the later generations as well. So they'll be catching up, won't they?
Yeah.
So excellent. I think we've covered the Evos pretty well there. Sort of my next question is: do you guys and I've read about the decks and I'm really excited about that. The token and whether you guys plan on launching the token prior to launching the NFT, or whether you'll launch the NFTs first and then do the token launch, and maybe tell us a bit about your IFO and your partnership with Unite Finance, which is where I believe you're going to launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will launch with Unite, and a really interesting thing about this is
He's muted.
we are not going to.
Sorry.
We are not going to launch on the NFTs, the Evos, but we are going to launch first the token and the text. Why? Because we were going to launch later the Evos in the decks, and also because we plan to launch the Evos just like 1 week or so before launching the PvP, or at least the beta of the PvP. So the plans are to launch the Evos in June. And that also means that in 4 weeks, the first week of April, we will launch with Unite in the launchpad, the token, and in the same day, we will launch the DEX. So your tokens will be available to be staked and that kind of things in the DEX the same day.
Excellent. And are you guys intending on having a whitelist for the tokens and for access to the DEX, or is that going to be an open launch for everybody?
In the past, we thought about having it because it's a good way to promote the project and get more people. But we saw lots of people in our community that were not really that happy with that method because it was a little unfair. And we did a poll to check how many people didn't want it, and the no won by far. So, well, we removed the whitelist, so it will be just a launch where everyone is able to join and participate, and that's all.
So your emission scheme for your token, and we'll talk a little bit about the token shortly, but the emission scheme for the token, are you expecting that to be heavily weighted for early emissions, or is that going to be sort of a slow, more even emission scheme?
Well, we are still talking with some people that is helping us to balance everything. So I can tell you an exact number today because I think we will be able to release it like in 2 days or so. But I can tell you that I'm thinking about having the missions with high missions, but at least at the beginning, lots of them a big chunk of them locked as other projects did, because it will help to start building liquidity and start growing the project.
Mm-hmm.
But you will have a part locked and a part unlocked, obviously.
Yeah, I think the whole sector's kind of got used to the idea of the locked tokens, and it's a very good way to just shore things up and make sure there's no dumping. So I think that's quite accepted thing.
And as other projects did, we will have the possibility with our Evos to work and accelerate the process. So it will be fine.
Yeah, no, I think that gives more utility for Evos as well, doesn't it? So let's talk about the token and utility, in-game utility for the token. I've read through the white paper and it's obviously there, but let's explain it for those new people that haven't heard much about it.
Well, you will have like two tokens, the Evo token and the Lungs token. The Lungs token is like the in-game token, and the Evo token is like the governance token. So each of them has their own benefits and their uses. But a really important thing for us was when all other games like Axie Infinity use a secondary token for the in-game actions, and they had a really big issue lately, and it was they have lots of the secondary token in the market, but they had no use. Well, you can use them to breed, and now I think they are launching some way to improve their access by burning their token. But the thing is, that token has no uses. So we thought a lot about that, and we are making sure that our in-game token has lots of uses. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to number of them, but I added in the white paper a graphic showing them all the use cases you will be able to do with each token. But to give you a brief idea, you will be able to buy any item or any cosmetic or clothes or furniture if you have a house, and even pay part of the Evos or houses or businesses, lands with your in-game token. And the Evo token, the governance token, will be used for buying special things that you need to have some kind of control to avoid the Lungs farmers to get too quickly those items like Evos or houses. So you will need to pay with both tokens. And
that's interesting.
Finally, you will be able to use the Evo token to get a part of the income of the game, because you will get, just for staking your Evo token, you will get a part of the fees of the decks and the game. So it's like, and it will allow you to vote for the project decision. So yeah, it's the governance token.
Excellent. No, I think you've explained that well, and as you said, I think more and more investors and gamers are really looking for those tokens to have use case, and many of us have seen that the power token of a DEX having a strong use case when connected to a game has the ability to really underwrite a project. So I like hearing that. And I personally don't think we can have too many DEXs on Harmony. I think it's really good. It spreads it around, gives arbitrage opportunity, and really shows that there's a lot of different reasons to be positive in the ecosystem. So I like the DEX idea. You guys have forked Uniswap. How have you found that? A good experience? I know you've got a team of about 10 people, but 3 or 4 devs over there. They're all working well, I take it?
Well, yeah, we forked the Uniswap code, and we have a good experience doing that. Although we had some issues not related to forking that, but with some random code generation for the Evos. But to be fair, it was solved really quickly thanks to the help from some of the community in the Harmony Discord. So it was really nice, because I don't know if you knew that, but first we were going to launch on Harmony, and like 6 months ago we thought about launching on Polygon first. And just like 1 month ago or so, we did a poll on Twitter asking people, where did you prefer to launch the game first? And Harmony community was amazing. We got lots of answers just telling us, please launch first on Harmony. And here we are. So yeah, loving the community.
Oh, they're a pretty enthusiastic bunch. We've found the same over in our server. People are more than happy to get behind, and they're really quite trouble when it comes to their chain, which I think is good. But I think it's also a good segue because you guys have plans to cross chain in Q3, Q4, if I remember correctly. Is it sort of something that you're thinking about now, or are you spending most of your time developing what you've got for the time being, and then we'll put some of the cross chain ideas into action?
Well, right now we are focusing more in getting the first products ready. But to be fair, I have done some tests of the PvP contracts in the Polygon chain too, just to check if we will able to run smoothly everything. So yeah, I mean, while we are not focusing right now on that, we have already done some tests. It's a first step.
Fair enough. I know it's early, mate. That was probably an unfair question, but I find it interesting, and I think cross chaining is going to be massive, just for growth potential, and also just to be able to continue to find new players and new ideas and new liquidity for games. It's going to be a big section of things.
Our main idea about using cross chain is to reach more people and allow them to play the game. But in the end, our core blockchain will be Harmony, because it was the first one where we are going to launch, and also because the really small fees and fast transactions, because without that the game won't be able to run. Because let's be honest, if you are doing a open world game or a 3D game or whatever, and your users are not crypto gamers but only gamers, and they have to pay a huge fee for every action they do, or they have to wait lots of time just to purchase an item, it will be a really big issue. So Harmony is perfect for this.
Those barriers of entry are, they're just crucial, especially in those more intricate, I don't know, you guys are using a Generation 5 engine. These more powerful, more intricate games that take more downloads are just going to be, and more transactions are going to be harder on those other chains, aren't they? I think that sort of, that's a fair point. But it leads me to another point. You guys have said in your white paper and also in some of your advertising that you're really passionate about bringing non-crypto gamers, but gamers still, and introducing them to the blockchain. How do you guys think you might go about that with your advertising or with your community to really try and tap into that non-crypto space?
In our opinion, being able to reach non-crypto gamers will be the key of the project. Maybe right now we are focusing in just reaching crypto users because our UI is not ready for non-crypto users. Because, for example, right now in the website you will need to use MetaMask and things like that. But yeah, and I think that to make this project really, really big, we need to reach non-crypto gamers and provide them a way to play without having lots of issues and the need to learn lots of things. And we are planning that by, for example, launching a mobile game, the PvP mode on mobile. But we are not gonna use MetaMask on mobile to allow players to run the game. It will use some kind of internet wallet that people will always have the key, obviously. But and also we are talking with another Harmony project just to find a better way to implement it later, so it will be even more easier for the users. But yeah, we our main objective is to make it as easy and smooth for the new players to join. We don't want to complicate their game with the need to learn about crypto, at least not at the beginning. We want them to start playing, start enjoying the game, and later on they will find, oh, I'm earning this coin. I didn't knew it was a real coin. What can I what can I do with that coin? Oh, I can go to this website. Oh, I can exchange it to this coin. And as you can see, it is like small steps. People will be learning, but because they want, not because we make them to learn.
Excellent. No, I really love that attitude. Yeah, I really agree that sort of cutting those steps down to being able to interact with the on-chain games is crucial as well. We find it with lots of our friends that just that one or two extra steps of having to set up a wallet or set up, a new network on MetaMask or whatever it might be can sometimes be a big enough barrier to stop a new entrant from coming in. So I like that you guys are starting to think about that early on in the project. I think it will set you in good stead.
Yeah, and it's also like a good way to, let's say, clean the name of the entities, because right now there is some kind of hate because non-crypto people think all the entities are just random pixel art that they have no use, they are waste of energy. That's what some people on Reddit are always saying. And to be fair, it's obviously something that blockchain is trying to solve. Not the pixel art. Pixel art is cool. I mean the waste of energy and things like that. But hey, that is something that lots of haters are using just to talk bad about crypto. And I think most people trust them because they are not able to learn easily the blockchain itself. If people is able to learn by themselves, and if they put the intention, they will learn that not all the blockchains are wasting energy, not all the NFTs are bad, not all the crypto is a scam, not everything is bad. And I think with something like a game where we work with the players, showing them step by step everything, it will help them to discover crypto and discover it's a real changing thing, a real good thing.
I totally agree. Functional NFTs and this new generation of NFTs and the way they interact with the chain and with smart contracts and with decentralized finance are a wonderful teaching opportunity for people to be able to learn about this next generation of financial tools. I know Kevin and myself have both got our kids playing these blockchain games just to try and teach them about DEX and teach them about the way money moves and offer an opportunity for financial freedom at a young age. These kids are going to grow up not really having to deal with the banking system in the same way that our generation did, and therefore hopefully be able to be looking at it with a fresher set of eyes. I think it's exciting for that next generation.
Yeah, no doubt it will be amazing if these new projects are done correctly. I think in a few years, global finance will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's just really exciting, and it's great to be a part of it at this stage, and especially Harmony Network at the moment. We're seeing new projects like yourself that are just changing the way people in the future are hopefully going to look at the blockchain and what it's capable of, and then what those things then open up doors for us is just massive. We've got some questions in the AMA questions page here, Alevo, so I might just run through a few of them with you because we're starting to get through a bit of time, and I'd hate to leave these guys' questions unanswered.
Could I just ask a question, Jerry? Sorry to jump in. Alevo, my name is
go for it, mate.
I work with Alpha Gaming. So I had a question that was delivered to me previously to joining that I was requested to ask. So there's a YouTube channel that appears to have your content on there with a video, and then it has a logo across it. Is that an in-game asset? Is that footage from from your pre-alpha game?
It was, but it is not. I mean, the cartoon stand you see there, it was like the one graphic try we did. And at the beginning, we were going to launch the game with those graphics. It was with a cartoon graphics and also the environment. But once we moved to Unreal Engine 5, where we have lots of performance options, we migrated to the environment realistic and the Evo's still cartoonish. So it's like a cool mixed style. I personally really like that contrast. And yeah, we are in the work of updating all those graphics. And also, a little thing that I haven't told at least not too many people about is we have plans to launch a gameplay reveal of the PvP mode a few days before the token launch. So there you will be able to see how the environment will look and also how the combat will look and animations and that kind of things. So it will get you a better idea, I think.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for answering the question. So just in relation to another thing you mentioned as well, and I just wanted to run past it again. You mentioned just about clothing and furniture. I hadn't read that previously. What is that in relation to?
Mm-hmm. Well, we know players, gamers, like to play games in lots of ways. A really good game to see that is on Genshin Impact or in Animal Crossing or even Minecraft. You will see some people, let's take the Minecraft example. You will see people just building their houses, creating an awesome castle, and later on building a huge village. And in the other end, you will see other players just playing PvP and trying to be the best on some servers. And as you can see, there are lots of player styles. And we are giving the player the opportunity to play the PvP mode and try to be the best trainer in the world. We will allow also the player to discover the history and just play in the world and talk with NPCs and discover every quest. But there is something missing there. Why won't allow us, the player, to just have a house, to have a life in the social city and interact with their friends? Maybe they just want to showcase their Evos and be walking in the wild with their friends, talking about their real life, and maybe at the same time catching some white Evos. Maybe they don't want to just try to be the best, they just want to relax. So we want to give them the opportunity to just be like they want to be. So they will have a house, they will be able to customize them with furniture. If they want to customize their character, they can with their clothes, their cosmetics. So that's the reason to have those options, to give every option to the player.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's certainly ambitious, and it's exciting as well. I mean, you drift away from player versus player, turn-based Pokemon to metaverse. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's not like we are going to launch that right now. That's one of the features that we have plans to launch later on, because obviously it's not the key of the project. But I think it will be a really nice thing to have, and it will be implemented.
Right, appreciate that. Thanks for answering. Sorry, Jerry, back to you.
Cool. Cheers, Pix. Good question, mate. I should have asked it myself, because I did think that land is an interesting idea. I was just Kev, did you have anything that you were thinking of, or is it cool if I can run through a few of these ones that we've got on the Discord here?
Yeah, I reckon you can just run through a few of the questions. I've been reading them and they look quite good.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones. Maybe you can start. I was going to say maybe you can start choosing who gets the badge. But yeah, so we've got Narwhal's got a couple of questions here. Alevo, first one being, will players entering at Season 2 be able to to use evolved Evos even without having played the history mode, or will you have needed to have played that mode to be able to use the evolved Evos?
Well, even in Season 1, you will be able to play with evolved Evos. The thing is, we are going to have two kind of story mode work. The usual optional quest, where you will be able to play with whatever Evo you have, and the main quest. The main quest is the main history, the thing that you are able to discover key things and things like that. And there, you will be able to play with whatever Evo you have, but if the power stats are way higher than the enemy, those stats will be lowered, at least only in the combat, to allow you to have a good experience and not just one-shotting the enemy in the history.
Oh, that's good. So there'll be sort of an even up between heroes to make it a fair battle, rather than having to wait for someone to come along with a similar strength Evo. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, in PvP you will have like a few tiers of combat. You can see that example in Pokemon Go, that you have like several tiers separated in the Pokemon power stats, and you will have the same in Evo Verses, in the PvP mode, to allow players to have like fair PvP games. You won't fight versus someone that has the best Evo right now in the market, because you would lose, and that's not cool. You want a fair PvP game, not just being destroyed.
Yeah, it's important for both the winner and the loser that they feel like they've got a chance, isn't it? Definitely. So Narwhal's got another question here about single player mobile use. So you're expecting, because you said that the story mode would be a bit too resource intensive for mobile early, so mobile would only be PvP. Are you expecting down the track that mobile will be able to be a single player experience as well, similar to a gym or a training zone or something similar?
It's something we would love to, and maybe once we grow, we will be able to do that, because a good example about a company achieving that is Genshin Impact. They were able to launch their full game on mobile because they were able to optimize the engine to run on mobile, even with lots of resources. So yeah, that's something we would love to, and maybe once our team grows way more, we will be able to hire someone specialized to optimize the engine to run well on mobile with that kind of graphics. Because
Excellent.
Unreal Engine is able to run really good graphics on mobile, but the issue is the world is really big. Well, it's not like Red Dead Redemption 2 big, but but it's big and it's rich of quests, and putting everything on mobile, it will be complicated. I have been also thinking about maybe, since they are regions, allowing just to download one small region, and once you play that region and go to another one, you will have the option to download the new one, and if you want, to remove the old one. So it will be chunked in regions.
Okay.
There are little things I'm thinking about how we could launch the history mode on mobile, but there is nothing right now on the table, because we are still thinking, so I can tell you, yeah, we are going to launch it.
No, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. No, that's a good answer. Mumu is asking about tournaments similar to Pokemon leagues. Is that likely to be something that you guys look at for Evo Verses?
Yeah, indeed. We have plans to have 3 types of tournaments. The special events tournaments that they're like, oh, it's Halloween, let's make a creepy tournament where you can only play with Evos of a specific type, and you will have this kind of prizes. And also we will have partnership events where we collaborate with some communities, like maybe yours, and organize some kind of tournament inside the game. And also we will have our official tournament, and it is every month we have a PvP season. And at the end of that PvP season, the top players will receive an invitation. An invitation for the final tournament, let's say. That final tournament will be always at the end of the year, the last month. Instead of just having the end of the season, we will have the final tournament where we will invite every top player of every season to play against each other and see who is the best trainer.
I like that.
So it's really worth it for everyone to try to be at least in the top.
Oh, that's cool. And that sort of competition and that sort of continuity throughout the year is going to really build the community and get a bit of hopefully it gets a bit of excitement going. So that's good. I like that. Noel's just here asking again about genetic material. Is it going to be hereditary for when we're breeding new Evos, so passed on from those parents, or is it more standardized and coming from the pool more?
Well, the stats of the children will be based on the parents. Yeah. So
cool.
If you get good parents, you will get probably good children. Sometimes you don't, but there is a chance. But usually, if you have good parents, you will have good children in the game. I'm not talking about the reality, but the thing is, that's also why you will be able to rent some Evos to be able to breed with a better Evo, because that way, if you are a player looking just for monetizing your Evos, that will be a really good way to invest.
Cool. So I think we've answered that one pretty well. Major Tom here is asking just for a bit more clarity regarding the use of the Linux token to buy in-game businesses, and whether the in-game businesses are owned by the player or whether you're simply staking your Linux into the business and earning transaction fees from player purchases. How do you see that working?
Well, if you think about the Pokemon games, you will remember that there are lots of shops there. Well, in our game, every transaction you do, like in those shops, will use the Lunx token, and those tokens will, once you purchase something, they will divide in two parts. One part that will go to the owner of the business and the owner of the land, like small fees, small commissions, and the other part will be burned. So we will able to balance that as the game goes. So sometimes the owners will get more Lunx, sometimes more Lunx will be burned to balance the Lunx amount in the market. Another thing that Axie Infinity had issues, so we try to avoid that.
Yeah, I think, and that's the beauty. There are a few examples that you can use to try and avoid problems that other games are running into, so that's handy. Mumu had another question here, but I think we've sort of covered a bit more on businesses and lands and houses since he's written that. So, but Yuan has an interesting point. The pay to win situation from potions and from crafting potions. How do you guys sort of have anything in mind to sort of avoid that? Whoever's got the most money wins. And I know you did mention that it'll be tiered and that the battles will be evened. But is that something that you're keeping in mind, that avoiding the pay to win and whoever has the biggest stack has the biggest win, or it's kind of a little bit?
And let's say you purchase like 100 potions, okay, and you go to PvP and think, oh, I'm going to use all my potions so I never lose the combat. No, you won't be able to. First, because you will be matched with people that have more or less the same amount of items as you, as the Pokemon or Evo stats, but also with your items. But the other thing is you can't give infinite amounts of items to your Evos in-game, because you will get a message like your Evo is full of energy, you can boost more their stats, or your Evo is tired of drinking the potions, they can't get more potions. So you will have a maximum of items.
There's some games like that where you sort of have an item pouch that you take into battle that can only sort of carry 5 or 6 items maximum. You still have more items than that in your account, but only have access to a certain amount for a battle. So those sorts of things are able to be done quite easily, aren't they, if you keep them in mind?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's really important to be able to balance it really well, because, well, if player is playing PvP and they have a bad experience, well, they won't come back to PvP. And let's be honest, PvP is something that most people will enjoy even watching, because we think that once we are able to expand to non-crypto gamers, we might be able to partner with some Twitch streamer to just celebrate some kind of tournament like they do with Pokemon tournaments. So we have to make sure to have everything really well balanced.
And that's sort of, Electrics, that's right. Story mode is like single player mode, and the PvP and some of those other things are going to be more multiverse and multiplayer. One more thing that sort of reflects a little bit closely to what we're thinking about over at Alpha Alevo. Guilds. Are you likely to be bringing in roles for guilds within the Evo Verse?
We are still thinking about that.
It's we're sort of in some of the games that we think will be operating as sub-DAOs in, where we're thinking that we'll be able to offer extra value in guilds in some of these situations, but obviously it doesn't necessarily lend itself to all gaming situations. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not it works out down the track that it's something that you guys add in. It'd be interesting to see. Kev, if you're still there, mate, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to have a look through and decide whether or not to who you're going to give one of our OG badges to. I might hand over for you to have a bit of a yarn to Alevo and thank him for coming and these sorts of things, because we're pushing out to an hour now, which has been a pretty good effort. Bart V just asking that PvP will be balanced dynamically, and I think that's what Alevo will say. Said that it will be. Yeah. I think we touched on that there a little bit, hopefully. Sorry, Kev, I'll hand over to you, mate.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the conversation so far and learned a lot, and I'm quite bullish on the Evo Verses. Thanks a lot for coming along, Alevo, and thanks a lot for all the members for coming along and listening tonight, and hope you've all got as much out of it as I have. Two of the questions that I've stuck out. I think we're going to give these two people an OG badge that should be minting any day into the next week. We'll give Narwhal for the will genetic material contain hereditary information specific to the parents, or is it more of a standardized resource? I think that's a good, solid question that everyone was very pleased to have answered. So congratulations, Narwhal. And also Major Tom on his question about the Lynx token to buy in-game businesses and whether we own the business wholly. I think that's a great question, and congratulations, Major Tom, on taking home an OG badge. Ready, we'll get your wallet addresses and we'll send you a free badge after our mint occurs, or as we open the doors. So congratulations. Thanks, Alevo, for coming along tonight. It's been a really, really enjoyable conversation. Is there anything that you would like to leave our community with?
No, just thank you for inviting me. I'm not the most extrovert person, so at the beginning I was a little shy, but I'm happy to have been here and talking and answering all those really cool questions. I really enjoy talking about the project, so thank you for the opportunity.
I think you spoke. I think you spoke really well.
Passion.
You did well. Thanks, Levo.
And thanks a lot for everyone coming along.
Kev, if we just want to just point out to people once again that the badges will be ready to mint in the next week or so. We're going to be putting together a little whale tournament as well over the next couple of days for people to come and get involved in and have some fun. And we have recorded this, so anyone, I notice our numbers have sort of shot up a little bit in the last sort of 10 minutes. So anyone that's sort of just coming towards the end, we will have this. Is it going to be on YouTube, Kev, or it will be in one of the sites, in one of our pages anyway, and we'll share it as an announcement for people to be able to find that recorded, and we'll send it through to Alevo as well, so they can share it on their page. So that's all that I wanted to say. Thanks again.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. Have a good night, and happy building, Alevo.
Thank you. See you.
Cheers, mate. You did
Evo Verses
great
one day.
We'll see ya.
Yeah,
we're going to be the first tournament winners, mate.